The bottom line, though, is once we meet that 2 million threshold, and by the way, we're a little over 1.6 million today, within the next few weeks, when we see case rates, positivity rates continue to stabilize and vaccination rates continue to rise, we will be in a position to modestly loosen up some of the tiering, continuing to keep the tiers in place, but to do so in a way that allows us to move through them a little bit more quickly, but safely, mindful again of equity in that process. So that's the announcement today. We think it's meaningful, but it means nothing unless we actually deliver on this. And so moving into next week, when we anticipate to receive 1.62 million, slightly lower than we had anticipated, but the ability to order 1.62 million doses of vaccine, we're going to be doing it with an overlay that we have now advanced today, and hopefully doing a little bit more justice on the issue of equity. I'll close because it doesn't get as much attention as it deserves. But when you look today at total impact of this pandemic over the last year, 55% of those that have tested positive in this state have been tested positive, happen to be Latino. 46% of the deaths happen to be Latino. So when I say, or rather assert, that the impact has been disproportionate, Latino community, those numbers bear fruit to that assertion. And that's why we're here to address that. And I'm grateful, Mr. Mayor, to be back in Stockton. Supervisor, Madam DA, incredible senator and assembly member, to be back in a community that understands these things in very raw and emotional ways, because this is a community that has been impacted disproportionately and deserves more attention as we move forward. And so that, broad strokes, is what we wanted to communicate here today. We also put out, if you were wondering, updates on mask wearing, encouraging people, particularly those that use cloth masks, to consider using an additional mask and double masking. If you're not using the cloth mask and you're using masks like this that actually filter even more than N95 masks, that's not the guideline recommendation, but we are encouraging people basically to double down on mask wearing, particularly in light of all of what I would argue is bad information coming from at least 4 states in this country. We will not be walking down their path. We're mindful of your health and our future. And I'll just note, without belaboring the point, that the positivity rate in those states is substantially higher than even here in the state of California. And yet we still feel very, very strongly, as we begin to loosen things up and reopen our economy, that mask wearing is becoming now more essential as we transition to herd immunity and broad access to vaccines.